ruin their relationship and make sure they don't get married.
Loving someone is a funny feeling. You grow so protective of them that even just the idea of them being a little hurt is enough to tear your soul apart from your existence. However, I still believe everyone must have someone like this in their lives who they love more than anything, like I do. Hello everyone. So I'm a Theo, short for Theodore. I'll use a fake name in this post for safety purposes, but apart from that, everything else will be true in its entirety. I'm from Great Britain, but have been living in the States for the past 5 years. I shifted here when I was 22 with my sister to build a name for myself, and I've been fortunate enough to make something I'm proud of. Today, I own a pretty successful chain of restaurants. My sister and I come from a wealthy family, which means we have a pretty comfortable upbringing. But money has never really mattered to me. I wanted to make something of myself on my own terms, which is why I poured my heart and soul into my restaurant. But as you must have guessed, there's something that I love even more than my restaurants. The person I was talking about earlier, the one I love the most, is my little sister, Riley. I've always been close to my sister, and I'm even more protective of her now, and, well, why not? After all, she was my little sister. Ever since Riley came into my life, I knew she was special. She was that little bundle of energy, always laughing and curious about everything. Our parents doted on her, and I could not help but join in. Showering her with affection, she was the baby of the family, and I took my role as her big brother serious. Since Riley and I were only kids, I've always felt this deep responsibility to look out for her. We grew up in a nice house with loving parents who worked hard to give us everything we needed. Riley was always the adventurous one, fearless and full of life. Me, I was the older brother, trying to keep up but also trying to keep her safe. You know, when we were children, I used to carry her around like she was my little princess. She would giggle and cling to me, trusting me to keep her safe from imaginary monsters and scraped boo-boos. I remember one time she fell off her bike and scraped her knee pretty bad. I rushed over, wiped away the tears, and patched her up with a Band-Aid. She gave me a big hug and called me her hero. It was not an easy job to be protective of someone as adventurous and curious as Riley. I remember this other time when we were playing in the backyard. Riley decided she could fly like a superhero and climbed up to the roof of our shed. My heart nearly stopped. She was giggling, thinking that she was invincible. But I knew better. You know what I ended up doing? I literally had her hanging from my shoulders and running all over the garden, just so she could feel like she was flying. As we got older, Riley's curiosity grew, and so did my protective instincts. In high school, when she started dating, I was a hawk. I would grill her boyfriends with questions, making sure they were decent guys who treated her right. Some of them did not like much of me, but Riley understood, and she would roll her eyes and tell me I was overdoing it, but I couldn't help it. I just wanted her to be safe and happy. Well, when we went to college, Riley wanted to explore everything, new friends, new experiences, and I kept a watchful eye, checking in often to make sure that she was okay. There was this one guy she dated who seemed great at first, but then I caught him flirting with another girl at a party, and I did not hesitate to tell Riley what I witnessed. She was mad at me for meddling, but later she thanked me. It turns out that he was not as trustworthy as he seemed to be. I never left her alone, and not in a bad way. I mean, I wasn't suffocating, at least I hope I wasn't. I was just protective of her, and I know that she knew this, and she loved me just as much, which is why when I offered her to move to the States with me, she immediately said yes. Even though I know that it wasn't easy for her to leave her town, her friends, and everything she knew from her childhood, just for dreams that she was happy to do so she could be with me. It wasn't easy either to work on my business and take care of her. Even though she was of age by then, to me, she was still my babysitter. Then came the day that she asked to move out. She wanted more independence, and I understood that. She had her college and part-time job, and living a bit closer would make things easier for her. I admit I was reluctant at first. I'd gotten so used to having her around, knowing I could keep a sharp eye on her. But Riley was determined, and deep down I knew it was the right move for the two of us. So of course, in the end I agreed, and the little devil knew way before asking that I would agree, as if I could ever say no to her. She's been living separately for the past 8 months and visits me every week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, when she has a little time off from her part-time gig. I've never been prouder of her, to be honest, but this is not why I've come here. Of course, I've been worried about her, but not much since she tells me everything, or so I thought. About a month ago, Riley called to say that she was visiting with her boyfriend. I'm sorry, boyfriend, you say? I didn't know you had a boyfriend, Riley. I was thrilled and both shocked and cautious, and when they arrived, I greeted them warmly. Harper, her new boyfriend, seemed pleasant enough. Tall with dark hair and charming of a smile, but there was something about him that did not sit right with me. Maybe it was my protective instinct kicking in, or perhaps I was just overthinking it. Or maybe it was his tattoos, but mind you, he had a lot of them, and once again like a hawk I interrogated him. He seemed decent enough. He was an artist who worked as a creative designer for a marketing company on weekends, and a tattoo designer on the weekends in his little studio that he owned. They had been seeing each other for the past 6 months, which struck me as odd since Riley used to tell everything. However, not once did she mention him. When I asked her about it later, she just laughed and said that she really liked the guy and wanted to be sure about everything before I scared him away. I know it was no big deal, but it stuck with me. Another thing I learned was that the company he worked for was close to one of my restaurants, and after talking for some time and just, inquiring a lot about this man, I could not find anything wrong with the guy, yet I felt uneasy about my sister for dating him. I kept my reservations to myself because I sincerely wanted Riley to be happy? Sue me. However, yesterday I was out shopping and, right there near my restaurant when I spotted Harper with another woman. They looked cozy, but not in a good way, like more than just friends. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Was I seeing things right? Before I could approach them, something distracted me and they disappeared into the crowd. I haven't told Riley yet. I needed to be sure. Maybe it was innocent, and I didn't want to cause unnecessary drama. Maybe I had imagined the whole thing. Maybe Harper was just a friendly guy with a lot of female friends. Yet I can't help but feel uneasy about the whole thing. What do you guys think? Am I just overthinking too much, or is there really something suspicious going on? I'm thinking about keeping tabs on Harper and getting a background check done, but I'm afraid it would be too much. What if Riley learned of it? What would she think? I have no idea what to do. Please give me your advice and suggestions. What do you guys think that I should do? Please drop a comment down below. Update number 1. I was not wrong. I did see him with somebody else that day, and as I did yesterday, I may have done something I should not have. I'm not sorry for it, but still. It's been about 4 months since I last told you guys that I saw Harper, my sister's fiancé, with someone else. However, since I wasn't too sure, I didn't mention this to my sister. I didn't have concrete evidence or proof or anything, just a feeling gnawing at me. Maybe I was overreacting, so I decided to dig deep. I kept a sharp eye on Harper discreetly. I checked around and asked some subtle questions, but nothing came up. There was no signs of deceit or anything shady, and maybe it was all innocent, and I didn't want to cause unnecessary drama, so I just let it go, hoping I had misinterpreted things. Months would pass by, and Riley and Harper's relationship was growing strong. They seemed happy together, and I tried to be supportive, but I don't know. That image of Harper standing there with that woman, it didn't sit right with me. I don't know. No matter what I did, I couldn't shake it. When Riley told me that she and Harper were getting engaged, I felt a mix of emotions wash over me. Part of me was happy for her, wanting to see her find happiness again, but another part of me, worried that they might be actually rushing things. I kept my concerns to myself, though, and Riley was glowing with excitement, and I did not want to damper her joy at all. As the wedding plans progressed, Riley started picking up on my reservations. Well, she asked me one day if I liked Harper, sensing something was not quite right. I assured her that there was nothing like that going on and that I just wanted her to be happy, but deep down, I just hoped that Harper was what he seemed to be, and that my initial doubts were unfounded. However, 2 weeks after Riley and Harper's engagement, i.e. yesterday, I spotted Harper by chance in the city center. I was out running a few errands, my mind occupied with the day's task, when I saw him with a woman across the street. Obviously, my heart sank as I watched Harper lean in and kiss another woman passionately. Anger surged through me like a tidal wave. All my suspicions and all my worries came crashing down at that moment. Without thinking, I crossed that street, my fist clenched. I could not believe Harper would betray Riley like this, not after everything. When I reached them, I did not hesitate. I grabbed Harper by his collar, pulled him away from the woman, and he looked shocked and was caught red-handed. The woman looked just as surprised, and in a blind of fury, I started hitting him, calling him all sorts of names, and every ounce of frustration, disappointment, and protectiveness exploded with each blow. Harper tried to defend himself, but I was beyond reason. People started gathering, shouting, and trying to pull me off of him. It took several people to finally separate us, but by then, Harper was bleeding, his face bruised and swollen, and I was still shouting at him, warning him to stay away from Riley. Someone called the police, and I stood there, breathing heavily, my hands shaking with adrenaline and rage. I knew what I had done was wrong, but at that moment I did not care. All I could think about was Riley and how she deserved better than a cheating fiancé. The police arrived, and I was arrested on the spot. They read me my rights, handcuffed me, and took me to the station. I sat in a cold, uncomfortable cell, replaying the scene over and over in my mind. It was past midnight when they finally proceeded to bail and let me out. I stumbled out of the station feeling exhausted and ashamed. I had let Riley down, and now I had a criminal record to prove it. As I walked home, the reality of what I had done sank in, but truth be told, I was hardly sorry for what I've done. You know, a smaller part of me felt justified. I had defended my sister's honor, even if it meant crossing a line. It's about 3 a.m, and I'm writing this from my car. I'm too anxious to even go inside my home and go to sleep. I just want the sun to rise as quickly as possible so that I can visit my sister and tell her the truth. She deserves so much more than a lying, cheating jerk of her fiancé. I want to be with her when she learns this heartbreaking truth. Guys, please pray for my sister's well-being. I'll keep you guys completely updated in the next post. Update number 2. Hey, I wish I had died during that street brawl with Harper, or maybe the police had not let me go, or a truck would have crushed me, or, well, something, on my way to see my sister. It would have all still been a lot better than what truly happened next. Let me tell you what happened since I last updated a little more than a week ago. The night of the Harper incident, I passed out in my car. As soon as I woke up the next morning, I drove directly to my sister's place. I wanted to talk to her, tell her the truth about her fiancé and what I did to him, and explain why I did what I did, hoping that she would understand. Well, guys, I went to Riley's place early, hoping to catch her before she left for work. When she opened the door, her expression was cold and distant. I tried to apologize and explain that I had seen Harper with another woman, but instead of listening to me, she slapped me. I was shocked to say the least. She then starts crying and accuses me of attacking him out of jealousy and trying to ruin her good happiness. I pleaded with her to hear me out, believe me, but she wouldn't budge. She slammed the door in my face, saying that she did not need a brother like me. Tears streaming down her cheeks, her words stung. I never thought that I would hear Riley say such hurtful things to me, guys. But I understood. She was hurting, and I had made it worse, and for days I tried calling and texting her, hoping that she would just change her mind. But each attempt was met with silence. It felt like a knife in my heart, knowing my own sister would not even speak to me. Then, one evening, my phone buzzed with an incoming call. Yes, it was Harper. My gut clenched with dread as I answered, and he did not waste time gloating. He would mock me, telling me how he had manipulated Riley into believing I attacked him out of jealousy, and he laughed about how I could do nothing to stop their relationship now. I listened on in silence, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. Harper's words confirmed my worst fears, that he had twisted the truth to poison Riley's mind against me. I wanted to yell at him to make him see the pain that he is causing me, but I knew it would be absolutely futile. After Harper's phone call, I hung up. I sat in my apartment numb. Riley's rejection cut deeper now that I knew Harper's manipulation tactics. No matter how much I tried to reach out, Riley refused to see or hear me. It was like I did not exist to her world anymore. I felt lost and betrayed by somebody I had trusted to love and protect as my sister. I spent nights awake, replaying everything in my mind, wondering if there was something else that I could have done. Maybe if I approached it differently, I could have kept my cool and things would have been different. But, I can't change the past. I focused on work and threw myself into the restaurant, trying to distract myself from the pain. But Riley's absence weighed on me every day. She was my sister and my best friend, and now she was with someone who was not good for her at all. I couldn't just let things be. Ugh. I needed strong evidence, but I had absolutely zero. If only I had recorded Harper's phone call or took a picture of Harper with that woman, but that would have been too easy, right? It would have been all so easy. But now I had nothing, and I was losing my sister to a lying, cheating idiot. I have no idea how to get my little sister to trust me again. It's bad. Do you guys have any suggestions about what you should do, or what I should do, or heck, anything at this point? Final update. Oh boy, it's a wild one. Hey guys, it's me, so get this. Well, I'm sorry for being MIA for so long, first of all. It's been almost a year. I guess, well, honestly, I forgot about this post, but then yesterday I saw a couple of comment notifications asking for an update, and well, here I am. Long story short, I have my sister back with me. And that leech, Harper is out of both of our lives. All this has been possible just because of a good friend of mine, Chloe. See, without Chloe's help, I would not have been able to do it all. And quite possibly, I may have lost my sister to a jerk. Let me resume from where I left off. Weeks turned into months, and despite my attempts to reach out, Riley remained distant. It was a painful realization that I had lost her trust. And Harper's manipulation only fueled her belief that I was the villain inside of this story. But I couldn't stand by and watch Riley marry a man who simply did not deserve her. I knew, deep down, I had to do something about this. To open her eyes and make her see the truth, right? I spent restless nights thinking and planning until an idea formed in my mind. A risky plan, but one I believe was necessary to save my sister from further heartache. I wasn't entirely doing it on my idea, to be honest, because after my last update, somebody commented right underneath the post, and if you have no evidence, why not create one yourself? Well, this is what inspired the whole plan. I contacted Chloe, an old friend who owned a trendy restaurant across town. Chloe and I have been through thick and thin. She was the first one to help me out when I was just starting here in the States, and I trusted her with this delicate task. Well, I met Chloe at her restaurant one evening, laying out my plan with careful detail, to the pin. She listened intently with concern. I explained how I needed to pretend to go on a date with Harper to create evidence that would expose his deceitful nature without causing direct harm. Chloe was very hesitant to do it at first, worried about the implications, but ultimately she agreed. She understood why this was important to me and wanted to help. Chloe and I had planned every detail meticulously. She knew exactly how to approach Harper without raising too much suspicion. So one evening, Chloe happened to be at the same coffee shop as Harper, coincidentally striking up conversation. Harper, being the charming but cheating jerk that he was, took the bait. He saw an opportunity and asked Chloe out on a date, oblivious to the trap that we had set for him. Chloe played her part perfectly, maintaining just the right balance of friendliness and intrigue. Harper, blinded by his own ego and desires, fell right into the trap. Little did he know, every smile, every laugh, every subtle hint Chloe dropped was carefully calculated to expose his true intentions to everyone. I watched him from a distance, hidden behind a newspaper, knowing each smile and word was like nudging Harper right where we wanted him. It was weird seeing Chloe flirt with somebody like that, especially knowing it was all part of a scam. But for Riley's sake, I had to trust Chloe, that she knew what she was doing. We needed Harper to show his true colors, and Chloe played her part perfectly. As expected, it was a success. Harper asked Chloe out on a date. Finally, on the chosen evening, I kept a close watch from a discreet distance as Chloe and Harper arrived at a restaurant separately. My heart was racing, nervous with anticipation as they greeted each other with polite smiles and exchanged pleasantries over dinner with candlelight. Chloe effortlessly steered the conversation towards personal topics that would reveal Harper's true intentions. Throughout the evening, I could see Harper becoming more relaxed in Chloe's company. He was dropping his guard. They laughed together and shared stories, and Chloe skillfully led him to act as intimately as possible without letting it be too uncomfortable for herself. All this while, I discreetly approached at their table, pretending to be a nearby diner. With quick movements, I snapped a few candid photos of Harper and Chloe together, capturing moments that could easily be misinterpreted. Later that night, I anonymously sent the photos to Riley's email, accompanied by a carefully curated message explaining what I had witnessed and why she needs to see the truth with her own eyes. It was a risky move. I feared losing Riley's trust forever if she discovered my involvement in this, but I could not stand by and let Harper manipulate her any longer. The next day, after I hit send on those photos, I waited anxiously, hoping that Riley would reach out, and finally there it was. My phone was ringing with a text from her. She asked me to come over that evening, saying she needs to talk. I arrived at Riley's place, nerves coiling in my stomach as she greeted me at the door. Her expression was very, very tense, and her eyes reflected a mix of anger and hurt. Without a word, she led me inside to the living room, where Harper sat awkwardly on the couch. Riley wasted no time. She pulled out her phone, displaying the incriminating photos I had sent her, and Harper's face went pale, his eyes darting between Riley and me, and he tried to speak, but words failed him as Riley confronted him with a steady voice. Riley stuttered, attempting to explain himself, but Riley wasn't having it. She stood tall to her voice, and it grew stronger with each accusation she hurled at him. She demands answers, but deep down she already knew the truth. The evidence before her was undeniable. I watched in silence as Riley's resolve hardened. She did not give Harper a chance to weasel his way out. With each lie he tried to spin, her disappointment turned to straight-up anger. Finally, with a voice laced with, this is it tone, she told him it was over, and I quote you, "You need to leave." When Harper tried to retaliate, I stood up and quietly opened the door, having not forgotten the last time we were together. He didn't take any chance and quietly went out of the door. My sister threw her engagement ring right at him, which hit him directly to the back of his head. I think she should have kept it. As the door closed behind him, Riley turned to me with tears in her eyes. She thanked me quietly and started to cry. At that moment, I saw a flicker of that baby sister that I'd missed so dearly. We didn't speak much that evening. Both of us were emotionally drained, yet relieved. I hugged her tightly, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders, and in the days that followed, Riley focused on moving forward. She packed up Harper's belongings and threw them out the window near the place that she knew that he lived. I don't know if Harper ever got his belongings back or if he got them back in the right condition. I knew I had my baby sister back, and she was stronger than I ever knew her to be. Well, guys, this is it for my story. Thank you so much for all your comments and support.